I was reading a comic book the other day on my iPad and for some reason began drawing connections between superheroes and the Bible. Okay, stay with me for a second here. When you think about it, the Bible talks about at least 3 people that God gave what I consider superpowers. First, let's look at Elijah. This is right before his predecessor Elijah was taken up into heaven. In 2 Kings verse 2, 9 through 11 it says, "When they had crossed, Elijah said to Elisha, 'Tell me, what can I do for you before I am taken from you?' 'Let me inherit a double portion of your spirit,' Elisha replied. 'You have asked a difficult thing,' Elisha said. 'Yet if you see me when I am taken from you, it will be yours, otherwise not.' As they were walking along and talking together, suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them, and Elisha went up to heaven in a whirlwind." So we can see here, God gave Elisha a superpowered spirit. But even earlier than that, we see that God gave Samson superpowered strength. In Judges 15, verse 14 through 15, it says, "As he approached Lehi, the Philistines came toward him shouting, 'The Spirit of the Lord came upon him in power. The ropes on his arms became like charred flax, and the bindings dropped from his hands. Finding a fresh jawbone of a donkey, he grabbed it and struck down 1,000 men.'" If you know the story of Samson, you may also know that God gave him superpowered strength when his hair was long, but it went away when it was cut. And third, how about Solomon, who had superpowered wisdom? In 1 Kings 3, 5 through 9 it says, "At Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon during the night in a dream, and God said, 'Ask for whatever you want me to give you.' Solomon answered, 'You have shown great kindness to your servant, my father David, because he was faithful to you and righteous and upright in heart. You have continued this great kindness to him and have given him a son to sit on a throne this very day. Now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David, but I am only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to count or number. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong, for who is able to govern this great people of yours?" And so, God makes Solomon the wisest man who ever lived and ever will live. Now, God did many miracles, like stopping the sun and making the wall of Jericho fall, and of course he did plagues in Egypt, among so many other things. But these are the only 3 people that I could think of that God gave what I consider superpowers. Now, David's mighty men were extraordinary, but I'm not sure if God gave them any powers. With that, let's head on to the question of the day. Can you think of anyone else in the Bible that God gave superpowers to? If you have a thought on the matter, I'd love to hear from you. You can email your response at writecmv@hotmail.com or respond with a text or video response wherever you watch this clip. Also, if you have a topic that you'd like covered on the show, please let me know. God has intervened miraculously in the lives of several people, some from the Old Testament and many from the New Testament. He also intervenes in the lives of people today. But I find it very interesting that he actually imbued people with actual powers that ended up becoming a part of who they were. I'd love to know what you think. So I'll leave it at that, and I invite you to join me next time for another episode of Search With Me.